If you've ever looked at a birth chart and seen a tangle of lines crisscrossing the middle, that's not decoration. Those are aspects, and they carry just as much weight as any single placement in the chart. Here's what they mean and how to read the four you'll see most. This channel teaches you to read your own real chart, one piece at a time. Today, what an aspect actually is, why a chart works as a set of relationships and not just a list of placements, and how to spot the four aspects that show up again and again. So what is an aspect? Every placement in your chart sits at an exact degree somewhere on the 360-degree wheel: the sun, the moon, the planets, even the ascendant. An aspect is simply the angle between two of those points measured along that circle. Certain angles keep repeating across every chart ever cast because they divide the circle evenly, and each one gets its own name and its own meaning. Four aspects show up more than any others. A conjunction is 0 degrees apart, 2 points sitting right on top of each other, blending together. A square lands 90 degrees apart, a quarter of the wheel. That reads as friction, something that needs active work. A trine sits 120 degrees apart, a third of the wheel, and it reads as ease. Two placements that cooperate without much effort. An opposition falls 180 degrees apart, straight across the wheel. 2 points pull toward opposite ends of the same theme. One more term, orb. No aspect lands on a perfectly exact angle very often. Astrologers allow a few degrees of wiggle room either side of the exact number, and that margin is called the orb. The tighter the orb, the stronger the aspect is considered to be. There's a mix-up worth clearing up. Hard aspects like squares and oppositions get treated like bad news, and soft aspects like trines get treated like good news. That's an oversimplification. A square is friction, and that's real. But friction is also where growth happens. It's the aspect most likely to point at something you're actively working on. A trine is ease. But ease can just as easily mean a talent you never bothered to develop because it never asked anything of you. Neither is a verdict. They're just two different textures of relationship between two parts of your chart. Let's find all four on a real chart, Maya's, the same one from earlier videos in this series. First, a conjunction. Her Mercury sits at 10 degrees and roughly 52 minutes of Aries, and her ascendant sits at 9 degrees and 18 minutes of Aries. Subtract one from the other and they land under 2 degrees apart, about as tight a conjunction as you'll ever see. Mercury is the planet of thinking and talking. The ascendant is the point that colors first impressions. Put them together, and quick, verbal curiosity is baked into how Maya comes across before she says a word. Next, a trine. Her sun sits at 24 degrees Pisces, her moon at 25 degrees Cancer. Do the same subtraction around the wheel, and the gap lands under 2 degrees off an exact 120-degree trine. Her identity, the sun, and her emotional layer, the moon, are working with each other rather than against each other. Now a square. Her Mars sits at 19 degrees Aquarius, her Pluto at 22 degrees Scorpio. Run the subtraction and the angle lands about 3 degrees off an exact 90. Mars is drive and assertion, Pluto is intensity and transformation. A square between them describes real friction, the kind of drive you have to actively channel rather than something that shows up on its own. And last, an opposition. Her Venus sits at 0 degrees Pisces, her Jupiter at 7 degrees Virgo, about 7 degrees off an exact 180. Venus is what you value and enjoy. Jupiter is expansion and excess. An opposition between them describes a genuine pull between two ends of the same theme. Enough is enough versus more is more. Try it on your own chart. Pick any two placements, subtract the smaller degree total from the larger, and see how close the result lands to 0, 90, 120, or 180. That's the entire method. Everything else is interpretation layered on top of arithmetic anyone can check. If untangling that math by hand isn't how you'd rather spend your evening, a quick tap on the like button genuinely helps videos like this one reach more people looking for it. The same reminder as every video in this series, a square in your chart doesn't mean something bad is destined to happen, and a trine doesn't mean life owes you an easy ride. Aspects describe a relationship between two parts of yourself, not a fixed outcome. They're a mirror, not a prophecy. What you do with the friction or the ease in your own chart is still entirely up to you. So, an aspect is the angle between 2 points in your chart, measured in degrees. 4 show up constantly: conjunction, square, trine, and opposition, and each describes a different texture of relationship, not a good or bad grade. And you can check the math on your own chart with nothing more than subtraction. The chart in this video was generated in Mystic Almanac, free link in the description. Next up, we start reading your own actual chart, step by step, beginning with the easiest piece to spot, your own Big 3. Subscribe so it shows up for you. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.